This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. We just heard the word success, so I'm going to ride on that word as we begin today. You want to find success in your life, whether it's professionally, personally, successful relationships, more abundance. Maybe you're feeling that that's not happening for you. Maybe you're feeling kind of stuck and you're not really sure why. You feel you deserve these things, but they're not actually happening in your life. There's a reason for that, and we're going to talk about that reason today and pretty much give you the keys to your future. How can I say that? Because I experienced it. It took a while for me to figure this all out. Years, in fact, whereby this gentleman can get that done, I would assume, a lot sooner. He does much shadow work. That's what we're talking about, shadow work. He's also an energy healer, and he can coach you right through it. Going to learn a lot today. Jim Tourtsakis joins us on the program. How you doing today, Jim?
Great, thanks, Steve. How have you been?
Very well, and I'm glad we're getting together here. I know this is for some a little woo, hearing the term shadow work, and maybe you have a little idea as to what it is. But let's go there. Let's start with the basics. Exactly what is shadow work?
Well, shadow work is simply anything internal. I mean, technically, even basic, conventional, mainstream talking therapy with a psychiatrist, technically that's shadow work. Very surface level, it has its place, I suppose, because sometimes we do need a bit of counseling, but it's anything internal. And the fascinating thing about this, which would explain why so many people, you, the listener, have done your course on beliefs, all right? Your course on changing your subconscious programs, hypnotherapist, and all that kind of thing, mindset. And all that has its place. And good on you if you've done one such course or hired a hypnotherapist. They have their place. They're quite important. But as you mentioned before, there's always success and progress when doing such things is either temporary or partial, and then the same repeat patterns tend to occur, no matter what. And I, in terms of making my life work, I found that I had to go much deeper. There's more than just subconscious programs and beliefs, right attitude, mindset, etc. Even more than childhood conditioning and programming from childhood experiences and environment. Even more than that. And, scientists are discovering that they're discovering a rabbit hole as well. Okay, and I suppose you could say only recently, in recent years, they worked out and concluded that we all live in a simulation, a holographic simulation, and that's mainstream science here. So get
All right,
ready.
let's jump into that right there, because now
Yeah.
we've opened the door on the woo side. I got it, but for others to hear that, are you suggesting that what we have right here is not exactly our reality, may not be what we think our reality is?
It is a simulation is a better word for it. It's a simulation. Reality, there's more than one truth or level or layer to it. And I teach people how to tap into those deeper levels or truths of so-called reality to get to where the problem is, where their personal shadow block is.
Sure.
So so it's a simulation that's highly responsive to the mind if you know how to project your mind and thoughts the right way and on what. And that's what I teach people. And it's not a long learning course or learning curve at all. That's the good thing about it. And So, okay, so we live in a simulation. Internally, it's simulation as well. It's responsive to thought. And what got attention during my brief 5-minute interview a few months ago on your network was how we all know the analogy of an iceberg. All right. We've all done our personal development course somewhere where you got the tip of the iceberg above the waterline. That's our conscious mind. Beneath, where it's 90% of the iceberg, is our subconscious mind. All has to be dealt with and looked at and sorted. Yep. Then I compared the ocean that the iceberg sits on as primarily DNA and non-physical anatomy. I get into that with people as well. And then the whole planet that the whole ocean sits on, I describe that as your soul field. Okay, we all know about the soul. We've heard about the soul, but only in religious sort of context or terminology. Well, think of that as more of a science, and I'll get into examples, personal experience of how it transformed emotions, among other things, an overall life situation. Think of the soul field as the whole planet, and that whole soul field that's where the Midas touch comes from or emanates. Where you attract those things you want pretty easily, much quicker, but that soul field is blocked by what is called events. And here's the first principle I'm going to introduce and focus on just in this episode alone, because it's enough to chew on. Events is just as important to change as beliefs.
How do you define events?
Well, that's easy to explain once you understand the true nature of time. Okay, so time is simultaneous, not linear. And think of every incident or moment that shaped your consciousness, that shaped the course of your life and made it go on a particular tangent, either positive or negative. Okay, creating a block, in other words. That incident is its own little thing, its own time-space event. And it constantly blocks that Midas touch factor emanating from your soul field. So we've heard of the quantum field, the morphogenetic field, which science has made some headway as well. Those things, and it's a course of repeat patterns. So something happened in your childhood, a trauma or a conditioning, that's still lodged into your soul field. And it's continuously emanating like energies. It's continuously broadcasting energies. It's still there. You're still there as a child going through that experience, especially if it's traumatic, whether it's bullied by the childhood, schoolyard bully, whether it's
happened to me, know it well.
That's right. Whether it's your parents, a stressed single mum that yelled at you.
That would be me as well. Keep going.
Yep. And you felt rejection.
Sure.
Okay, rejection. So ever since then, you had to overperform to please people, overdo things, be a perfectionist.
Well, you thought you needed to.
That's right. That's right. And so until you clear that particular event, where often beliefs started from or emanate from, you're sort of stuck there, repeating. And it also broadcasts they're kind of like chaotic, anomalous energies, reversed energies in terms of who you are. And they literally appear as little dark grey toroidal spheres. And I'll explain in the coming episodes why that is. So that trauma, for example, or decision that you made by misunderstanding any given situation, especially during our formative years, but also well into adulthood, That little black little dark sphere where you're still there in that time space that continuously broadcasts the energies of that incident, of that time space event. And you need to transmute, you need to clear that as much as you need to clear beliefs and programs that we're all quite familiar with.
So can we, right at this point, and you harness the power of energy, healing, and shadow work, you're suggesting that that childhood trauma that's in you, that's holding you back, that's the shadow, part of the shadow. But at the same time, we everything vibrates. Energy is vibration.
Hmm.
That incident, call it bullying, or whatever it was in your childhood, you're continuously sending out that vibration, not even knowing it.
Of that time space event
Right,
continuously.
right.
It's still there. Now, over time, we've had to lock it away in our subconscious field, all right, in order to get on with life so we can focus and function.
Sure.
But it's still there vibrating away.
Now,
Continuous.
I just want to make sure the distinction here, it's inside us, got that, the subconscious, it's sitting in there. And, somebody says, yeah, you know what, you are acting like a child. Well, you are
Mm.
essentially as an adult. But that incident, are you sending that vibrational signal out and others can feel it? And that can also, this is what I'm asking, that can also dictate how people may treat you, how business may go, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. Have you ever had that? Exactly. Because that's still there,
Yeah.
broadcasting away the same
Wow.
energies of that trauma.
Wow.
And also it blocks the genius wave, the how can I put it, coherent consciousness of your mind. It blocks that as well because it covers up that little part of your soul field. And there's an old saying, follow your soul, it knows the way. Well, it's a bit hard to get those coherent signals, those intuitive sort of signals and insight from your soul if it's blocked by all these things, all these negative events.
This is the
Okay.
powerful. And all of this, I'm on board. I've studied it, I've experienced it, et cetera, et cetera. The thing that kind of blows my mind here today is those things that we dealt with in childhood that's in our subconscious, call them the little T traumas. There's the big ones, that accident, passing of a relative, and things like that. But the little T ones, even walking by the kitchen, you hear one of your parents say something. It's not even for you, but you've interpreted it as it would be. You're holding on to that. Any of those, I never knew that we are still sending out signals from that. I'm totally on board for uh, we send out our vibration to others. Um, in different ways. You walk into a party and it feels good. That's a collective vibration of everybody positive. Then you walk into a party and it's kind of down and you just want to get out of there because the energy is negative. Got that. But this is profound that you're sending out those signals by way of vibration from something from your childhood and essentially or potentially blocking what could be
What?
some good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, the genius wave that
Wow.
naturally emanates from your soul field.
Wow. That's big.
And that separates and also acts as a kind of like an energetic partition between yourself, your conscious mind, even your subconscious mind, and the depth and genius and Midas touch of your soul field. Now,
Hmm.
have you ever had those times where you're doing something, whether it's a project or something for work, you're doing something and it, logically it's meant to work, like you turn on your computer or you turn the ignition on your car and start to use technical things like that, and yet it doesn't work. Something goes wrong. Okay. That that usually happens when something is being. Have you ever done the part where things are looking good, or you've done a great 5 minute feeling as if exercise, and you feel as if what you want to manifest is already here and now.
Hmm.
Basic age-old metaphysical practice that certainly has its place and recommended. And then you go to do something relatively straightforward, the most logical thing, and it doesn't work. Like you can come up with 1,000 examples.
I have
All
one.
right.
Can I share it with you? Because this
By all means.
was my wake up. And an inanimate object. I have an old Jeep, 25 years old. I joke and say it's in hospice, but I love it because I don't have to worry about locking it, and I feel younger driving it. It's rusting away. I take it kayaking a couple of times this summer, and it would break down. And I would say, you blah 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 piece of junk. It's like seriously, belt snaps on a highway, like really. And I would treat it poorly. I would be angry at it. So I got it fixed and I reversed it. And every time I would go for a ride, go down to the beach or whatever it be, I would pat the dashboard. Thank you. We had a good day today. I appreciate you. Thank you for, your service. I enjoy what you offer. It hasn't broken down in years. And I
Uh,
am convinced it's the energy I put into it.
yeah, well, that's a great example. What I'm talking about more is energies that you're not aware of, energies that you're constantly emanating, broadcasting, and therefore attracting the same thing.
Mm.
Because, the world is full of people that have done that beliefs course on changing your beliefs, gotten that hypnotherapy session. Again, results are either brief or mixed or not a whole lot. It
Mm.
doesn't mean that you wasted your time doing any course that you did in the past. Here's the point. The main thing I want people to focus on is, for this episode, is that time is simultaneous, not linear.
You said that
Just,
before. Jim, explain that.
okay. It's scientists are also begin to learn about this, but think of all these little cubes that where you're walking in a room in one little cube, you're talking to a person in the next room in another cube, and so on and so forth. It's basically everything is occurring at once. Everything that has occurred throughout your childhood, throughout this lifetime, all your experiences are actually still occurring as we speak, because time is not linear. It is simultaneous.
Mm.
And I teach people that and understand that everything that ever happened to you is still going on. Because time being linear is a big fat lie. And once I learnt this and I understood, okay, through trial and error, how to apply consciousness on any one of those time space events, you can alter that. You can heal from that, remove it as a block. And that's what I teach people with. And let me give you an example. I remember one time, actually, most of my life, I struggled with isolation. All right, this is just a basic example. Isolation, I would walk into a room, I was never able to really connect with people and carry on with a long, deep conversation, apart from maybe a brief, superficial one, but never able to connect with people. Now, at first, I thought it was my Asperger's. Okay. And I thought, no, I can, if I focus and focus on it, I can still carry a conversation. It has happened. And then I realized I did something called the quantum extraction process, which I'll talk to people about in the coming episodes, where that utilizes some of these perfectly scientific principles. And so I did that process and I discovered that when my mum was pregnant with me, she had only just migrated to Australia. Okay, she didn't know English, she didn't know the language, she was kind of stuck at home. My father would go out and work, and she was away from her brothers, sisters, friends, next door neighbors that she grew up with. and she couldn't connect with the wider world.
Mm.
And I did the quantum extraction process on that while I was still in her womb because her sense of isolation basically had a conditioning but also traumatic effect on her. It was very cold, very sterile. That's what life was like. Very dependent on my father and a couple of other people who knew her language. So I did the quantum extraction process on that, and that did enable me to connect better with other people, to start forming my own friendship circle that I never really had. I only ever had maybe one friend that was you could call a real friend. Other than that, it was a couple of acquaintances. And that in itself is kind of traumatic if you live your whole life like that. And so I retrieved that situation, dealt with it at the DNA level as well, and ever since then, things have flowed better. Things have, I don't know, just more connection with other people. Conversations were more simply occurred seamlessly and went
Hmm.
past any superficial level. That's just one example.
And would you say what you experienced came from your mom because she was experiencing it when you were in the womb?
That's right. We absorb any conditioning, environmental conditioning, and trauma that our mothers experienced while we were pregnant with them, and even after that,
Can
because
I
we're
share
so,
an example of just what you said?
yeah,
Hypnosis, hypnotherapy, I've done it, beneficial. Um, I did a past life regression over the summer. You're going to try it, something different. And as the hypnotist was taking me back, they said, "Okay, now you're in your mom's belly. What's your mom feeling? Tell me what she's feeling." And knowing what she probably was going through at that time, I could give an answer, but I didn't want to give that answer. I wanted it to be a little deeper. Under hypnosis, I gave an answer because I felt it. I felt it. Even though I knew what she was going through, mom and dad were fighting at that time.
yeah,
I knew I knew that, but I felt it under hypnosis and it was real. Like you can't make up certain things like the emotion and then, the past life regression continued and there was a lot of emotion there and it was real. I mean, capital
yep.
REAL, real. And that was my wake up, just what you're saying that, yeah, we experience. That's why they, always had said for many decades, sing to your baby, everything that, is going on there, they're experiencing. It's real. Wow.
It's very real, and good on you for doing something like hypnotherapy and past life regression, because my best examples and case studies with clients come from past lives.
Oh, wow.
And I'll give you one good example in a moment. But the thing about hypnotherapy is that, first of all, it's a bit of a long, drawn out, in my opinion, laborious process of getting straight to the point.
Mm.
It's good to have done it because now the mind begins to believe and therefore allow things to happen. I'll get into what I mean by that in a moment because
I almost don't want to
the
say
mind
these.
can block things.
I don't want to say these words. We're just about out of time for today.
No,
There's
I understand. I understand.
so much to talk about. And again, I feel like I'm not just asking these questions, just ask questions. I experience a lot of what you're saying, and then there's still some holes there or question marks, and you're answering, what was left out for me to better understand this. Um,
Yep.
it does go deep, but once you start figuring it out, it's profound. It can move your life forward. It can remove those blocks. Now you offer a lot. You also have some free stuff. I think you offer a short course.
A short course. It's called the Five Archways of Shadow Work. That because shadow work is a very disjointed thing, and you got to go to different specialists to get their critical
Yes.
benefits. This puts it all together in a coherent, neat, easy to understand package that's not overwhelming at all. It's basically 5 short videos. And once you understand these, the 5 areas, it makes a big difference. Your mind is orientated, you're not overwhelmed, easy to learn. And I'll get into actual client case studies in the next episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm happy to share, because it does transform emotions. Anxiety, panic, depression, they all have their source. And once you know how to apply, how to project your mind into the right time space events and easily locate those right time space events, you can really take charge without having to hire an expensive healer or hypnotherapist. It really does give you autonomy.
And what you said before, going to different practitioners, that's what I did. Hypnotherapy, Reiki, chakra balancing, psychics, on and on and on and on. You got it all going on there on your website. What is your website, Jim?
In a way that people can do it themselves, with only a bit of practice. The website is returntoyourtruth.com.
I love that URL. What comes up for me, and I want you to tell me if this is why you chose it. When we're born, we are a fresh start. You had 2 babies born at the same time, different backgrounds, religion, language, whatever it is. Oh, yeah, sure. Assuming they're both healthy. They haven't experienced life yet, maybe in the womb a little bit, but it's your truth. That's who you are right at that moment. And then it starts changing as you get older and older, and even 1, 2, 3, 5 years old. What are your thoughts on that? Is that the truth?
Well, we actually don't get a fresh start when we're born. There's how many books that have proven scientifically, empirically, the existence of past lives.
Relative, I got you on that. Because we're talking about past life regression. You brought that over. It could be generational traumas. You brought that over. What your mom experienced while you were growing in her belly. That's all part of it. Like relative fresh start, but it's not like it's a completely clean slate is where I'm going.
That's right. There's actually a fair bit there. You'd be amazed. I was amazed when I started doing this on myself. And so definitely opt in for that free video course, returntoyourtruth.com.
Fantastic. Jim, thank you for being here today and helping us better understand shadow work. And I've been doing the work. I've learned so much. That's 25 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And so much more to learn next time we get together. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. And it was great meeting you, and looking forward to the next episode.
Likewise. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.